Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial I will teach you how to set up a basic bullet collision system for your game. I will be using a bunch of pre-made scripts and teach you how to use these scripts. So let's have a quick look at what we are going to create. The engine works with bullet collision models that are being created at the start of the game. When I hold tab, they turn invisible, and every time that I press the left mouse button, the engine will calculate where the bullet comes. So when I hit grass, a different texture appears than when I hit wood, and it will also be placed at a different angle. So I can also shoot at the demons, and then they will just disappear. If you want to, you can easily combine this tutorial with my gun tutorial and create some awesome effects. Now, before we start, let's have a look at a quick list of content in this video. So if you want to skip something, just click on the part that you want to go to. Now before we begin, make sure you've downloaded these two packages. Links are in the description, and when you have downloaded the package, it's time to import the resources. So just open up your GameMaker project. In my case, it's the 3D basic engine, which can be downloaded from my website. Now you have to import the resources, so just start with these three icons. After that, we want to create a sprite that shall be used as a texture, so create a new group called textures, and then add a new sprite called text impact. Click on edit sprite, and then we load the impact textures, which can be found in the tutorial package. So just go to sprites, and first we load this one, then we click on here to add another one. Alright, I use a sprite instead of a background because the impact textures are used for the same purpose. Instead of having multiple backgrounds, I can have just one sprite for all impact textures. So just hit OK. After that, go to textures and make sure you've imported text debug and text daemon. Now we want to import the scripts, so go to your tutorial package and find the file engine bullet collision.gml. Just drag it into GameMaker and release it, and this should add a bunch of scripts. So for the scripts, you have four different types of scripts. There's the README, which contains useful information about the engine. We have the call scripts, which are scripts that you can use in your own GameMaker code. We have the edit script, which is a script you should edit to make the engine work. And the engine script, which should be left alone unless you want to make specific changes to the engine. The first thing that we will do is creating an object that will be the parent of all the objects that can have bullet collision. Just take a look at this image. That object is called object bullet collision, and the engine is made in a way that whenever someone fires a bullet, it will loop through all instances of object bullet collision, which means it also checks the child's. So go to GameMaker and create a new object and call it object bullet collision. Then add the icon, and in the create event add the following script. This script initializes the bullet collision. The first three variables are the x, y, and z coordinates. Then we have the rotation, and at the end we have the debug texture, which I will show you later. So hit OK. The second step is to create the bullet collision models and make them visible in the game. We start off with object world, and we change the parent to object bullet collision. Then add the following script in the create event. The first line initializes the variables. It's the same function as in the create event of object bullet collision. The next line adds the floor. The first two variables are the x and y of the top left corner of the floor. The third and fourth variables are the x and y of the bottom right corner. The fifth variable is the height, which is usually 0. And at the end we have the type variable. In this tutorial I used the type 0 for grass and the type 1 for wood. So hit OK. Now go to object structure and change its parent to object bullet collision. Hit OK. When that's done, open up object box and in the create event add the following script. It's roughly the same as the one used in object world, but instead of just one floor, it also has 4 wall scripts. Combined, it should create a shape like a box. The wall scripts work in a similar way as the floor script. The variables 1 to 3 are the first x, y, and z variables. The variables 4 to 6 are the second x, y, and z variables. Then we have the type, and since our box is made out of wood, I use the value 1 in here. Now we have the basic shapes, and it's time to make a script that draws these shapes. The code to draw the shapes will be placed in object world. So open it up and open the draw event. Then type the following code. Whenever the player presses the tab key, the script will loop through all objects linked with object bullet collision and then draws them with this function. Now hit OK and run the game. Now when you hold tab, you will see some red shapes visible on the objects. It gives a rather ugly result, but that doesn't matter since it's only for debug purposes. So just make sure your game looks like this before moving on to the next step. In the third step, we're going to make the player able to shoot and create some sort of impact. So go to Object Player, and in the global left pressed event, we will add the following code. This will instantly calculate what happens when a bullet is fired. So the first 3 variables are the x, y, and z positions of the bullet, the starting position. Then we have the horizontal direction, then the vertical direction, and at the end we have the distance which the bullet travels. So when the bullet hits something, the script bc edit action will be called. So let's change this one. When the bullet has hit something, you can use these variables to determine what kind of action should happen. For now we just want to create a new object at the given position. As you can see, the variable type is used again. In the impact sprite we specified that type 0 is grass and type 1 is wood. To indicate this difference, I want to create an orb which changes color dependent on what you hit. So just type the following script. In the grass case, it will create a green orb at the given position. Do the same for the wood case, but change the color to yellow. And remember, when you're working with temporary variables like this, you should always use this semicolon, because if you remove it, it will create a few errors, as you can see. So hit OK. Now we only need to create the impact object. So just create it, name it, and change the sprite. Then we change the depth to -100 because it's going to be transparent. And in the create event we want to add a few variables. So z is 0 for the z coordinate. Then we add my color variable. And we set an alarm which will destroy this impact object after 4 seconds. So hit OK. Then we add the alarm event. Just call the function instance destroy. And in the draw event we type the following script. This will draw a colored orb with the given color. So hit OK and run the game. Now, whenever you shoot something, there will be an orb created. As you can see, when you hit the ground, there's a green orb. When you hit the boxes, there will be a yellow orb. And as you can see, it works perfectly. Let's get started with step 4. In this step we will adjust the impact object in a way that it creates a real looking bullet hole instead of just an orb. So first go to Object Impact, and in the Create event remove my color and add my figure, which is 0 when a floor has been hit and 1 when a wall has been hit. Then we add my texture, which should load as a sprite. So in here we specify that it should load the texture impact as texture. Now we add my rotation, which is the rotation of the impact. Now hit OK. Then we go to the draw event and replace this code with this new code. So the variable my figure is checked, and when it's 0, a floor impact has to be drawn with the given texture. When it's 1, a wall impact has to be drawn. This wall impact has a little calculation in here, and this calculation rotates the impact along with the wall that has been hit. So hit OK. In order to do something with the new draw event of the impact, we have to change the action script. So replace the color line with the following script. The only thing this code does is it sets some variables for the new impact object. Now do the same for the wood case, but change the sprite subimage to 1, because if you take a look at the sprite, you can see that 0 is for grass and 1 is for wood. Now hit OK, and then hit OK and just run the game. Now when you click on something, you can see there's a nice little texture created. And it just works with everything. Now it's time for step 5, where we create a bullet collision model which can move and rotate around. First I will show you how to create a very simple character. So create a new object and call it object demon. Then change its sprite and make the depth very low, like 1005, and change the parent to object bullet collision as we did for the boxes and the world. Now in the create event, add this script. We set the texture and add a new collision wall, and don't forget to change the type to 2, because the demon isn't grass nor wood and should be handled differently than those. Hit OK. Now go to the draw event. In here we first disable the texture interpolation. This will make the demon look more pixel-like, but it gives a better result in my opinion. Now we draw the wall on which the demon is projected. The rotation of the wall is dependent on the direction the demon is facing. So hit OK. To change the direction and the position of the demon, go to the step event, and in here we type this code. The position of the demon is changed by the up and down arrow keys, and the direction will be towards the player. And after that we will update the collision mask in here. It's pretty straightforward. Here we give the X, Y and Z coordinates, and the other script we will give the direction. And that's it for the demon. In order to hit the demon, we have to edit the action script again. So open it up, and in case 2, which is reserved for the demon, add the following code. We will use the ID variable to destroy the demon when it is hit by a bullet. Now hit OK, and then we open up the room, place a few demons inside it, and just run the example. Now as you can see, the demons move along, they rotate with to the player, and when you use the arrow keys they move around, and when you shoot one you can see that it just disappears. Moving on to the last step of this tutorial, step 6, and in here we will create rotated collision models. So let's take the box object And just imagine that there's a box on top of this box that's rotated for 45 degrees. We can't just use the rotate scripts that we used with the daemon, because that will rotate both boxes. So that's why I made two extra wall and floor functions. We will do the floor together. Just copy this and add underscore ext to the floor. Then for the z value, add plus 16, because we want it to be above the other box. And in here we add the origin variables on which to rotate. So this should be x plus 8 and y plus 8, which is the middle of the box. And then we add the rotation, which is 45 degrees or something else that you want. For the walls it's exactly the same, so your result should look like this. When you've got this, just close it, and now we can run the game. And when you hold tab, you can see that you've created a new cube which is rotated. And when you shoot on it, the bullet holes appear. So that's the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to take a look at the challenges document for some additional exercises. And if you created a game using my tutorials, just let me know.